Good morning, great morning, wonderful morning, spectacular morning, outstanding morning, magnificent morning. Yeah, I'm gonna say it's supercalifragilisticexpialidocious morning. Yes, the beautiful reminder of choice that you have, that I have, that we all have, and that is pretty freaking great, isn't it? We all get to choose how we're going to think in this moment, which is right now. Remember, now is all you've got. Type that in the comments. Now is all I've got. See, it's how you're thinking now that's the most important. Why? Because that leads to the direction that you're going to go. It leads to the results that you're going to deliver. And if you don't shift how you're thinking now, then what will not change, unfortunately, are your results. And we know that that's not something that you want to continue. So, guess what? You're going to act on. You're going to act on what we're going to share with you. You're going to use it in your life. You're going to change how you're thinking now so that your results change. And that's pretty freaking great and amazing. So, with that being said, as a reminder for you, we're going to be going into the science of getting rich, and make sure you have this copy. This copy is a copy that we are really strong with, and it is an edition that's unabridged, and you'll be able to follow along word for word, page for page with us. So make sure you got this. By the way, isn't that a beautiful cover? Look at that. It's so amazing. It's so good. Look at that. It's just glowing money. All right. So it's the science of getting rich, and there is a science of getting rich to getting rich. There's a science to being happy, to being successful, to living an amazing life. And what's beautiful is when you work with the science, then what happens is the change in your life. So again, make sure that you do get a copy of this. If you haven't ordered it, click on the link that we provide to you and get yourself this copy and get ready to mark it up. Yes, you're going to mark it up. And then most importantly from there, you're going to what? Use it. Application, baby. That's where it's at. Now, what's really cool here before we go into the science of getting rich is we decided to go into a little bit of Thomas Troward. Now, if you don't have this download for Thomas Troward, we've included a PDF that has our favorite essays, and the one that we are operating from that we're studying is called Entering into the Spirit of It. So make sure that you have a download of that yourself as well, that you're using this because it's really, really awesome. All right, so you guys ready? You ready to go back into it and to maneuver from where we left off? I am, and I'm really excited about it. I love this essay. It's so good. All right, so let's switch this up and go there. Boom, there it is. Again, we're in entering into the spirit of it. Now, we did move forward into this, and there's something I do want to point out as we're going through this. And it's going to come actually from this specific section here. It's tied into um, how there's always an opposite. There's polarity. Now, as you're going through this too, another reminder for you as well is make sure you have your goal with you and use this. If you want this to happen, in terms of what we're sharing here with you about this essay about entering in the spirit, if you want this to happen, you've got to enter into the spirit of this. Okay? You got to enter in the spirit of this idea. All right, so let's go back to the previous paragraph before we landed the call yesterday in the last session. And actually, I'm going to go a little bit before this, okay? And that is tied in to what it is that all of us are seeking. And here he pointed out it's a truism, but the great secret of life is its livingness, and is just more of this quality of livingness that we want to get hold of. It is that good thing of which there can never be too much. Now, here it was pointed out, but every fact implies also its negative. And we never properly understand a thing until we not only know what it is, but also clearly understand what it is not. Remember, it's a part of the whole. The positive and the negative make a whole. Very important. So to a complete understanding The knowledge of the negative is as necessary as the knowledge of the affirmative. Okay, now think about that. It's as necessary, the knowledge of it. For the perfect knowledge consists in realizing the relation between the two. Now, there's a relation between the positive, the negative, the up, the down, the inside, the out. And the perfect power grows out of this knowledge by enabling us to balance the affirmative and negative against each other in any proportion that we will. Now, there is an important statement, in any proportion that we will, thus giving flexibility to what would otherwise be too rigid and form to what would otherwise be too fluid. And so, he says, by uniting these two extremes, positive, negative, the up, the down, the inside, the out, by uniting these two extremes to produce any result we may desire, it is an old Hermetic saying, coagulate solve, solidify the fluid and dissolve the solid. Now, when you think about that by itself, solidify the fluid and dissolve the solid. Think of, for instance, water. Water, it can be solid like ice, then turn into water, then boil it up, then it turns into steam, and then it goes into the ether. You can't even see it, but it's still there. Now think about that. It is still there. The whole point is that it's all one thing. Now solidify the fluid and dissolve the solid. And therefore, if we would discover the secret of entering in the spirit of it, we must get some idea of the negative, which is not spirit. Now, this is where he's pointing out here. He's talking about results. He's talking about outcomes. He's talking about getting to where you would love to be. Now, this is where we dove into last. In various ages, this negative phase has been expressed in different forms of words suitable to the spirit of the time. And so clothing this idea in the attire of the present day, and remember, this was written in the early 1900s. It's still completely relative and applicable to today. Clothing it in this idea, the attire of the present day, he says, I will sum up the opposite of spirit, which is mechanism. A spirit mechanism. Spirit mechanism, okay? Things that we do. Well, here he's talking about the opposite here. Now, before all things, this right now is a mechanical age, and that's the way it was back when he wrote it, and it's actually the way it is right now. And all you need to look at are the courses that are out there, all the education that's out there about how to do something. Have you noticed that? It's all mechanical. You want to earn more, this is what you do. You want to write this book, this is what you do. You want to build a business, this is what you do. You want to earn a lot of money doing crypto or trading, this is what you do, the mechanical. Before all things, this is a mechanical age, and it is astonishing how great a part of what we call our social advance has its root in the mechanical arts. And this is important. Reduce the mechanical arts to what they were in the days of the Plantagenets, and we're going to talk about the Plantagenets here. And the greater part of our boasted civilization would recede through the centuries along with them. Now, who were the Plantagenets? Who's he referring to? He's referring to this powerful royal dynasty. This powerful royal dynasty lived when, what is about 1100s to the 1400s, somewhere around there, according to history. They're in England. And what he's pointing out is they shaped medieval England. Have you ever heard of the medieval times? Well, with that, there were kings that were running it. They were, and what they did is these Plantagenets, they laid the ground for the legal system, parliament, and all that stuff. Limits about absolute monarchy. And by the way, this is not a diss with regards to what was there. This is about understanding something much, much deeper. When we're talking about the days of the Plantagenets, is what's being referred to here. Um, what he's saying here is, that what we call civilization is not primarily moral or intellectual achievement. It's a mechanical one. So when he's talking about the mechanical arts, though, again, he's talking about things like engineering, machinery, infrastructure, all of that when he's pointing it out here. Now, what he's saying, though, he's not insulting any of that. What he's saying is that civilization advances not because people think better thoughts. This is important because we're saying, okay, you got to change how you're thinking, but because knowledge is applied through law, system, and mechanism. Now, think about that. What is the golden rule? Application. And that's what he's pointing out. If you reduce our days to the days of the Plantagenets, we would go back to medieval times. And what he's pointing out here is something much deeper, and we're going to go diving deeper into that right now. And what does he point out? He says, we may not be conscious of all this, but the mechanical tendency of the age has a firm grip of society at large. And again, all you need to look at is what's out there and available with people trying to help you to deliver change. The overwhelming emphasis is in the mechanical. We habitually, now notice that, we habitually look at the mechanical side of things by preference to any other. Everything is done mechanically, from the carving of a piece of furniture to the arrangement of a social system. It is the mechanism which must be considered first, and the spirit has to be fitted into the mechanical exigencies. Now, how many of you have fallen into that trap in terms of all those things? Now, think about this. Again, this is very important for you. When you think of those forces that share the mechanics, have you noticed something? Have you noticed that the number of people who actually succeed with that is very small? Why? Well, because of this very problem. Because of the habit of thinking that that's where it's at, that that's what's going to deliver the outcome. We enter into the mechanism of it instead of into the spirit of it. And so limit the spirit and refuse to let it have its own way. And then, as a consequence, we get entirely mechanical action and complete our circle of ignorance by supposing that this is the only sort of action there is. Now, before we go further, for those of you who are watching this live stream and love to tap into where we're going to go to next, do yourself a favor and go to elevitality.com and register for Master Your Mind so you can have access to these live calls and also have access to the recordings. You'll thank yourself later.